So the innovation process. Innovation often starts with some kind of idea, and that idea can come from the firm, from people working within a firm, from perhaps the marketing people seeing that we have a client segment that we are not addressing at the moment. Could we get something in there? Could we innovate something that they would be interested in? It can come from individuals, for example, the consumers, the clients that see that, okay, we have this problem. Is this something that you can fix? Is this something that anyone can fix? Should I fix it myself, or should I connect with a supplier, a firm that can develop something that meet this need that I have? It can be universities, of course. Those are also organizations that can generate new ideas and new discoveries that can generate new inventions that can become innovations. It can also come from government-funded research, which is of course connected to the universities. And there are also non-profit organizations that can generate ideas. This is the innovation funnel, which is basically taken from the pharmaceutical industry. And it means basically that they start up with 3,000 or 5,000 new raw ideas, and that is turned into 300 submitted ideas, which they turn into 125, around 125 small projects. And from those they select 4 that will be major developments. They launch 2, and 1 becomes a product success. So only 1 reaches the pharmacy, and therefore they need this one product that reached the pharmacy to be kind of expensive, because they need to get their money back for all their failures in their innovation process. You might argue that this is not a very effective process, and the pharmaceutical industry is reevaluating this at the moment, because they have realized that as well. And the biotech firms, as you will see, do not have the same process for innovation. We will talk more about that later in the course. But what is an effective innovation strategy then? We will not go into depth about that now, but the strategy, we were just going to mention what that is. That is something that align innovation projects with resources and objectives. So what does this firm want? What's the objective of the firm? What is the vision? And make sure that the innovation projects are aligned with that, as well as the resources that are available to the firm. And the strategy should also leverage the core competencies of the firm. And core competencies, that is like roots from which a firm grow different core products. And that is their core knowledge and core know-how and core know-why. We'll talk a little bit more about core competencies later in this lecture. But they leverage that in their strategy. That is generally assumed to be a good way to build your innovation strategy. And make sure that innovation products help in achieving the strategic intent. The strategic intent, where do you want your firm to go? Where are you headed? What is the vision? Are the projects in line with that? Do they help you achieve this? And we will talk more about that in a workshop in the end of the course. So we will talk more about innovation strategy, but for now we will be content with that, as well as an example. And this is Locioni. It's an Italian firm that I have studied, and they have the strategic intent of making sure that they are still in business in 50 or 100 years. This is a family firm, so they are more concerned with that than making a quick profit. And therefore they have 3 criteria that they use when they evaluate new projects. So they look upon ideas or possibilities that they stumble upon or get from clients or from employees, and they look at that and see, does this problem that we have found, can we use our core competencies to solve that problem? Is this thing that we can develop solving an expensive problem for many prospective clients? And the third one, does this contribute to the well-being of people or planet? And they say that this third one is something that is needed in order to stay in business for a long time, because they think that is the future. You need to contribute to the well-being of the people of the planet in order to be topical during a long time. And in the picture here we can see one of the things that they developed using these criteria, and that is Apotheca. That is basically a robot that you use to compile chemotherapy for cancer treatment patients. And they heard about the problem of compiling chemotherapy from a client who said, it was a client from another business who said, oh, this things that you know about could probably solve a problem for my friend in this hospital. They have a huge problem with getting sued from patients who get the wrong chemotherapy, because those patients can die. And then in Italy, the people that know that patient can sue the hospital. That means it's a costly problem for the hospital. And since hospitals are everywhere, that is many prospective clients. And they realized that their core competency of testing things, testing machines and so on, could be used to test and see that chemotherapy was compiled in the right way, and even to actually compile it. And they later realized that the problem with chemotherapy was also that the people handling the chemotherapy became exposed to toxic things, and therefore this actually solved a problem for them as well. They got a better working environment. So they developed this robot that compiled the chemotherapy instead of this being done manually. And they thought that, okay, this would also contribute to the well-being of people. So therefore that they developed this robot that you can see in the picture. This is some core concepts. It's called the linear model, that you can hear people refer to, having it in the back of their head when they talk about innovation. It's generally believed that we start with science, that becomes general scientific knowledge. And then that can be transferred to specific scientific knowledge, which is done within the scientific system. But when it turns into specific scientific knowledge, then it can actually travel into the business system. And from that you can build a technology platform, and that technology platform can be used in order to build a product platform, meaning that you take the technology, the base technology, and turning it into products. And from that product platform you get products, and that are launched into the market system and put into use. Then you get some experience from the use, you can iterate on that and enhance the product and the technology. And in order to get completely new things, you continue to search for new knowledge within the scientific system. So if we put this linear model into use, we can look at the innovation process of penicillin. So Alexander Fleming discovered a culture contaminated with Penicillium notatum. I cannot pronounce that in a proper way, but you get what I mean. And that shows dead zones around spores. So that was kind of basic research. And then we went into the applied research, and was efforts to isolate penicillin and to verify and understand the substance function. From that, there was a movement into development of methods for large-scale production of penicillin in the early 40s. Then the refinement of production methods, a top priority for US government after realizing its importance in war. And in the late 40s and so on, there was further development, diffusion and distribution, commercial application, and market development. And innovation is actually often promoted during times of war, because that makes it quite urgent for people to innovate, trying to win a war.